Today's episode is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. It can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more podcast platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started right now.
Unforbidden Truth.
Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. This is part 2 of an interview with convicted murderer Tadaryl Shipp, which was conducted by James Sparks, juvenile justice expert with over 25 years in the field. Following this interview, both Tuesday and Thursday, part 1 and part 2 of an interview with Krista Pike will be released, which was also conducted by James Sparks. Krista Pike is Tadaryl's ex-girlfriend and charge partner, and remains to this day the only woman on Tennessee's death row. Let's jump back into it. Here's James Sparks' part 2 interview with Tadaryl Shipp.
You said that, you went to Job Corps because your parents, I guess, sort of taught you about it. When you got to Job Corps, you met Krista. And I think that you said that, she sort of she wanted your approval for things. So I guess we could say that you controlled the relationship. Do you think that was, pardon me?
I think pretty much,
yeah. Did that have anything with the way that you were brought up with your parents, or is that just, you being a young male starting your own relationship, that this is the way you thought things should be?
Yeah, and honestly, I have I'm trying to think of the possible way to say it. I have a concept of, and a lot of people, they may sound similar to this, like whatever, but everybody has their role.
Right.
I understand society now that women have they're more efficient and basically I understand I want to take care of stuff. She don't need a man to make anymore. But I was raised in a more, even though some of my life is dysfunctional, I was raised in my grandmother and grandfather. And they had a traditional setup role how the family was raised. And it worked. It worked until my grandfather died. They were married for the whole time. It was honestly, it was like, to me, their life and their marriage was perfect.
Right.
So this was the archetype that I looked at how a relationship and a marriage should be set up. Now I see that my mind was trained to look at it and think of it in that fashion, because it's something that always worked. So yeah, I did. I felt that the man was the dominant factor in a home and a relationship, and that was based on just the outlook I had.
And I think it's common, especially with guys, to look back at their parents or their grandparents and to see that they've been together for so long, and what was the dominant factor every time. You said it, strong male figure in a sense. There were rules, there were regulations, and I can understand that whole concept. Things have changed a whole lot. Movements and everything else. Not trying to take away from women, and there are a lot of very strong single mothers out there who do a great job raising kids with no help whatsoever. But that was a whole lot different 25, 30 years ago too. Did I want to ask you, whenever you were arrested, Colleen's murder, when I think you were initially, what you said last night, that you were initially in the juvenile system, and I think they got you prepared for transfer to the adult system. Did the DAs try to make any special deals with you, or want you to turn state's evidence, or fabricate anything in a sense? And if so, did they promise you anything for doing so? And if they did they deliver on their promise?
My initial treatment with law enforcement was aggressive, to say the least. The only person I can say that was fair to me was Randy Gilbert. I can honestly say that. But everything else was aggressive. The manner of killing, the manner of trying to get what they wanted was aggressive. And the only person that wasn't. And I respect this man. I respect him, you know what I'm saying? And I can honestly say that he was fair. He was Randy Gilbert. To me.
He might have detected on the task, right?
Yeah. far as anything like that. Now, it was some, like I say, it was some aggression, which shouldn't be forced toward basically a child at a time. That would alter the way things are said, to say the least.
Did Mr. York ever keep in touch with you after you went to prison?
No, the last time I saw Mr. York was when I went back on Christmas appeal. And actually, I reached out to him several years ago, but I got a response back.
Whenever you know, after you got arrested, how were you treated as far as being African American? I know you said Mr. York treated you fair, but
everything else,
called any names or anything else?
Everything else was more aggressive. Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was basically any kind of story you can possibly think of. But like I said, I had learned to meet aggression with aggression.
Mm-hmm.
So, it did happen. But after a while, after a couple of years, it resolved to a point where it was more a passive aggression. There would be certain things said that was be worded some ways where I would literally have to, like, what you say. It wasn't extremely direct anymore. Initially, it was extremely direct.
Okay.
Because they expected me not to respond. But after a while, it resolved to a point of more strategic wording.
Yeah. Do you feel like we're just trying to rile you up to see how you interact? So this would be like the impression of you, so they can say, yeah, we told you this guy was a devil worshiper or whatever, see how he's acting.
Once I figured out that this is what was going on, I'm like, you know what? You got me fucked up. I'm not going to go.
Right. Because you called the game. You knew what it was.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to try to reach out to Krista's attorneys on her behalf during the trial? And if you did, how was that received?
Didn't nobody talk to me. For some reason, they went off. Yes, I did, and I never got a response.
Have they tried since then, since she's been on death row? Has anyone from her attorney, staff or defense attorneys reached out to you?
The only time that they did is when she conceded all of her appeals.
Mm-hmm.
And they contacted me, and when she went back to get everything reopened, and I went to phone. That's the only time. Besides that, no.
Which is a shame, because I think there's more to offer, especially what you shared with us in regards to, y'all's relationship, what happened, how she acted, how she reacted. I think it's important stuff that was overlooked at the trial.
Our initial lawyers, I did. I tried to reach. No one responded back. Never.
What do you think, in a sense, that this was all a do-over? What do you think would be the appropriate punishment for Krista?
Considering everything. Honestly, because like me, life with parole, because I have to consider everything, consider her mental health issues, all the trauma she's been through. Look at the Mary Wickler case. They were saying that her husband raped her and she shot him with a damn shotgun, fled to Texas, fled to Florida, she got off, damn scot free. So, and that was nowhere near the trauma that Chris has been through. And that was the length of time dealing with the trauma Chris went through. So I could see with just being completely cold-hearted and appetite about his thing, giving her life with parole. Because she needs more mental health than she needs anything. And everybody seems to overlook that part of everything. Even the officers down there, or the staff down there, seem to overlook the main picture is more the mental health thing than it is anything else. And nobody wants to look at that picture. That's the main picture. When I was at another prison, I was at South Central. And I was a barber down there. And I had to cut. My job, my specific job was to deal with people in medical, people on protected custody, people on close back, in the mental health part. This is why I have resolved and understanding about certain things now. I understand, and I saw that ailment that they were going through, that mental anguish they were going through on a day-to-day basis, because I had to go there and cut their hair at least 3 times a week. So I understand, I have more understanding now. And me being an adult, I have a clear understanding about a lot of things that I could never have as a child. But everybody seems to be bypassing the major issue. And that's also the mental health problems. Yeah, from her holding it down mother being drunk when she was pregnant with Christmas, and drinking while she was with Christmas, which affected Christmas' life now. Everybody's overlooking all these issues that have a major effect on her psyche now, on her psyche then. Everybody, the rapes, they're looking at the rapes, all of this is the rapes, the things that she's been transpiring in front of her, the things that she's been through. None of this is focused on look at her anything. They're just looking at what happened. As if can't nobody be redeemed for the things they've done in their past. People can't become better people because of the things they've done in their past. And Christian progress has been slow, a lot slower, because Christians have been treated like an animal for fucking 25 years. How do you expect a person to be better if they can't feel sex better and the situation isn't improving?
I absolutely agree, 100%.
Yeah. She can't get the proper help because she's not. They allot the proper help. They say it's there, but they don't give it. And that's what she needs. She don't need her life to be taken. She needs the proper help to be able to structure her life properly and understand how to deal with her problems properly. Because she's a good person. She's completely a good person. There's nothing I can take from that. Even in our erratic state term, Kristen's a good person. But people only see this one incident or the situation she's in now where she may spaz out because she don't have her medicine that they denied her sometimes. Or because she's been in basically a cell for 25 years with a minimal or limited human contact, and you're constantly taking her. She, in a way, is still stuck in that 18-year-old girl mind. She's still that girl who was raped. She's still that girl who's been abused. She's still that girl whose mother was a drunk around the damn her whole life. She got holding it down all of a sudden. She's still that person. She hasn't had a chance. She's matured because she's got older. But she don't understand. She hasn't matured completely because she hasn't had the access to be able to mature completely in a proper way to understand how to deal with these issues. But now they want to kill her and deny her the chance, which they want to do to their children, and not have the chance to better themselves and find a better part of them to excel in life and actually want better. They haven't given opportunity for her to want better, regardless of the situation. It's more than it's more of a humane issue. It's more of a, okay, like you said, we don't keep it, it's not a, where the damn Bible will. Right? I'm saying, okay, I understand an eye for an eye. I understand it 100%. But I also understand forgiveness. I also understand looking for the better in me. I'm not a Christian. Probably never will be. But what I'm saying is that being a human in general, we're taught to have some kind of compassion in our hearts. It's resolved in there anyway. The same way even the basic animal has that compassion. Like a damn cow has enough compassion or mercy for the calf that when she bursts, she won't step on it. So it's just and I apologize.
No, I think what you said was very powerful. I think exactly what you said needs to be said because I think you're right. I think she's still stuck in that 18-year-old sort of mentality. And I'm going to ask you a question, and it's no disrespect to Krista, but do you believe, based on all of her mental health issues in the past, do you really believe that she understands that she has her dad's memory as somebody puts it in?
I don't believe she understands the full grasp, but Krista's been beat down so much that Krista's giving up. And Krista has nobody else to fight turn their backs on her. Everybody she's dependent on that has come to show her that they don't care. So with that being said, if you're in a situation where you're being treated less than human, and everybody that you love, and everybody that profess or give symbols that they care about you or love you, when the time comes, they turn their backs on you. How would you feel? How would you feel about my life is on the line? Even if you did come to resolve and understand, but you've been beat down so much that when you get to that point of it's almost there, and you're constantly being treated like an subhuman, less than an animal. And then everyone who says they care for you, 90% of them are gone. 90% of them don't even want to tell the truth because it may scar their reputation the way they look now. It's simple. I sit down and talk to one of my friends last night. I was like, man, some of these things will be hard for me. And I said, but this is the only thing I even care about. The only thing I care about is that the truth is told. Everything else, I don't care. I don't care how I'm looked at. I don't care how these things reside in. I can get a million fucking tape records. I don't care. The only thing I care about is that the truth is told. And that I can sit back and say, and I can look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what, I did the right thing. And I did it out of love for Crystal. So whatever happened, it is what it is. But everybody who said that they were there, said they cared, they did, and they're worthless. They're less than human. I mean, they don't even exist for the simple fact. How can you abandon someone when they need you the most? How can you abandon a person that will give you their undying love, and you profess that you care about them? I don't even care about them to be there, but you turn your back on them. I guess being able to grow up and mature, I look at life in a completely different way. Yeah. Okay, so I don't look at judge. And I come to the point of my life, I don't look at people's faults. Okay, because I can find a million faults. It's saying that if you point a finger at somebody else, if you look at your hand, you know that three fingers are pointed back at you.
Exactly.
So if I can find one fault in you, I can find at least three in me. So I'm going to look for what's good in you. We're going to build on that. Try to help and make you a better person. That's the only way that anything can work positive, a positive outlook and a positive force. The only way to be positive is everybody try to at least affect and have some kind of positive outlook and push on things. And there's not one here, period. Everybody's looking at the worst.
And if we were like that, it'd be a whole lot better place to live, let me tell you.
I don't do a lot of talking. I don't even write. So I don't do a lot of talking, period. A lot of words are bullshit, and people just say words to make themselves feel better. My resolve is just action speak louder than words. Words are bullshit, 9%.
I'm sorry. That's simple. I'm sorry because I feel as though if she would have never met me, she wouldn't have went down the road she would have went down. It may have been different, but I don't think it would have been this drastic. So, I understand that some of the influences that I had literally ruined her life. So the main thing I want to say is I'm sorry. She deserved better. And my actions or my decisions, which led her to do what she did, completely threw her life completely off course because she came there to become a better person. And hopefully, I'm understanding to get the help she needed, but I threw her off her focus. So this is what happens when you get off their focus. So the only thing I can say to her is that, man, I'm sorry. I'm truly and genuinely sorry.
What if you were given the chance to speak to the judge and jury in her case? What would you say to them? If we could turn the time back, what would you say to them?
Give her a chance. I know that she has her problems. I know that she made a mistake, like a horrific mistake. It's nothing. I'm not trying to shave responsibility off or anything like that. What happens, what happens. It can't be changed. But give her a chance, because she's truly had a hard life. I'm talking about from the alcoholism of her mother when she was pregnant with her, to the abuse that she was subjected to growing up. A lot of stuff that a normal person wouldn't be exposed to, she was exposed to. And these are life-altering things. So these are the reasons why she has the mental problems she has now. So, just give her a chance to better herself. She's been okay, and when they say she has all the time, she had time to do that. No, she hasn't. If you've been locked in a cell, treated like an animal for 25 years, it's impossible for you to advance. They even let chimpanzees out the damn cage to help teach them better ways of doing things. And I feel like she's been treated worse than an animal. So give her the opportunity to better herself and see that she can better herself. If she's not given an opportunity, how will we know? She doesn't deserve it. And as far as justice, it's not justice. She literally is mentally unstable. So instead of giving her the proper treatment, you just throw her in prison and give her the death penalty. How is that justice? But that's how some people think.
You're exactly right. And unfortunately now, with the recent ruling by the Supreme Court, I know you're aware of it by now, it seems like it's just another strike against her. Someone who was never given the opportunity, like you said, who didn't know, who never had opportunities, who was abused from before she was even born. The abuse started, with the alcoholism and drinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is something they don't want to talk about, that people don't want to bring up, because they don't want to have their moral values now put in question because they change their life. I understand people change their life and people become better people over time. But you can't take and not live your truth because it may affect how you live now. Your truth back then, the truth back then may assist and help her now. People are worried about their image and how they look and how they're going to be portrayed to the public. And this is what's hurting her. They say they love her, but when they're supposed to stand up and tell the truth, they turn their backs on her. And that's what's happening.
Which makes you wonder if they do carry out the execution, how are those people going to react then? That's what I always wonder.
It should be like an overwhelming guilt that settles in. And I don't even like speaking like this, but it should be an overwhelming guilt that settles in. And just don't leave. Just don't leave. They assisted in killing her because they refused. Silence is worse than speaking out a lot of times.
Yeah.
So their silence is helping these people kill her. They're assisting in her murder because they refuse to speak up.
Well, unfortunately, I think the speaking will be after the fact. And that's when exactly. But that's when all the monetary compensation rolls in and things like that, if we're just being honest.
And I'm going to say this, if anyone takes the chance to gain off her death, I hope that money burns them and makes sure they go to hell with it. I hope every penny that's earned strictly off of her death for that specific reason, I hope that money, God damns them to hell for that money. You're gaining off her misery, off her suffering. And I know it may sound extreme, and I shouldn't be speaking this way. But why would I want to gain off someone I love off of their death when I could have possibly helped them live? You don't care about her. You have no care about her, period.
Someone told me a long time ago, and as I get older, I see it more, and I hate to, like you said, I hate to speak like this, and I hate to say that, but someone told me a long time ago that your family will mess you over quicker than anybody else.
Yeah.
And in different aspects of my life, I've seen that come to fruition. I've seen it come true. And I really think that's probably what's going to happen in this situation with her.
Well, I hope that money I hope that money that they may gain from this be their downfall.
I just hope that if it does happen, that it's done, that no one tries to do stories or nothing like that. Because you didn't want to do stories when she was alive.
That's why I didn't talk. That's why I haven't talked all this time. That's why I've had CNN, I've had Oprah, I've had plenty of people contact me to speak. That's why I haven't said a word. Because I don't, it's not my place to either tell the story or slander the next person or tell the truth about someone that's deceased in any form, fashion, or way, because it may take the image of that person and change it for certain people. I'm just one man.
Yeah, I understand, man. I understand. I know, but you're trying to help now, and that's the main thing. You know, that's the one thing, you know, and I just hope that someone is willing to listen and someone's willing to go on her behalf and you know, get to the governor or get to the justices and do something that changes. And you know, we're not saying release her. We're just saying, you know, reconsider what was thrown on the table in the beginning.
Take off the devil.
Right, exactly. Which leads me to the next question. And, you know, during the course of you and I talking, we sort of touched on this and back and forth. Do you believe that Krista actually understood what was happening to her during the trial?
I think that Krista was caught in a fantasy world. I don't think she fully understood the depth or the seriousness of what was going on. I really don't. I don't think she understood that till after a few years of being where she was. I don't think she completely understood that period. Once she started to mature, I think she started to understand, get a grasp of what was going on.
So you think it took a couple years? And the reason I ask is because, you know, there's always been question about whenever she had her trial. I think that she may have written a letter to you, and that what seems to always pop up. And my take on that is clearly you got somebody who really doesn't understand the propensity of what's going on and the seriousness of it when she wrote that letter to you.
If she understood at that point the seriousness of everything, she would have never wrote that letter.
Right.
Any person who completely understands that anything I say may alter what happens to me. So I have to be careful of what I say. Be it true or not. Be it out of frustration or not. That doesn't make any sense. A rational person don't do that. They should have known then. And why would she give it to an officer to give to me?
Well, you would have thought that stuff like that would have been censored anyway, and that would have never been able to get to you. You know what I'm saying? It seems like that was just more fuel to the fire to get a conviction on her, because you know as well as I do that they censor mail in and out. You know, not everything is allowed to go through. But you know, someone saw fit to let that get through, and then you know get it to the media or what have you, and all the focus was put on it. She had no idea. She had no idea what she was doing. No one is ever going to convince me to this day that she knew exactly what she was doing. Like you said, I think it took a couple of years of being where she's at to even realize what was really going on.
It really did. I truly believe that. There's no way that she could have understood the severity of everything going on and still make some of the choices she made. It's impossible. And the thing is, I know her. And I understand that that was irrational as hell.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, it really doesn't fit into the practicality of a, I hate to use the word a responsible thinking person, but do you know what I mean? It was so far, it was almost, and I hate to use comedic, but it almost was that she would have even attempted that, because that right there also shows to the seriousness of how she'd been affected mentally, physically, and what have you. Because, you know, somebody wouldn't have written something like that. Let's be honest, Tadaryl, that, you know, especially if you're on trial for the charge, why would you write something like that? She really didn't understand what she was doing, in my opinion.
No.
I'm only one man, but that's the way I see it.
But see, a lot of things comes down to common sense. People overanalyze things and think, well, she had a bigger thing and she was plotting it. No, some things are common sense. And excuse my language, she was just fucked up in the head. She wasn't thinking clearly. Mm-hmm. She's been abused. She's been through so much stuff. and she lashes out. And people say stupid. Name me one person that hasn't said some stupid stuff that they didn't mean, or didn't mean to say, or wasn't thinking clearly when they said it. Name me one person on this earth that hasn't done that. So when she lashes out and says some shit that's completely outrageous, but she's held accountable. Okay? Yeah. I know the judge that live with her that said on the stand. I know humans going to do it anyway. She probably did it that day on another subject. I'm saying, so this is a common thing. But people say irrational, stupid stuff sometimes that they don't mean, especially if they're mentally unstable. If a psychiatrist won't believe half of the stuff a person says is mentally unstable, how in the hell are you going to hold it in court and say this is and do it in court? That's why you have to go through all this evaluation.
And you would have thought that something like that would have led to more extensive evaluation, because a truly trained psychiatrist, psychologist, mental health professional would have said, hey, something's not quite right here. This little girl, because that's what she was thinking like at the time, wrote this, which absolutely makes no sense. We may need to do some more testing.
A 19-year-old girl at a time with a 14-year-old girl's mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because, honestly, I think her progression as far as mentally now is better because she's medicated properly. But back then, I don't think that she was rationally thinking as a 18, 19, 20-year-old girl.
No, not at all.
With all the PTSD, the this and this, the bipolarism, and also when they didn't categorize it back then, but everything she had wrong with her, it was impossible for her to think as the age she was. It's impossible. Because you're still stuck in some of those times of things that happened to you. Okay, you may think consciously you're up, but subconsciously you're still stuck in that time. It takes some people 30, 40 years of going to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist to even to advance to balance and have an understanding of, okay, well, this is my problem and this is how I deal with it. She wasn't given that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, things back then were handled a whole lot differently. Like you said, it was just like when I was coming up, when you probably should have used medicine, there was the belt instead or something like that,
wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. Ain't that wrong with you?
Yeah.
And, and then she also wasn't afforded, with the way she was raised, she wasn't afforded the opportunity to go to doctors and stuff that she normally probably should have done to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Growing up poor sucks because you don't have anything at your disposal. And then when you get older, you don't know any different.
Exactly.
And, if you have a family, you sort of repeat the cycle. It's like a generational curse. You just keep repeating it.
That's all she knew.
That's exactly right.
How can you expect a person to live a different life if they don't know a different life? They haven't seen it, been afforded opportunity to even have a different life. It's different now because of the advancements and everything. And it was starting to come into that phase when we were young, but it wasn't there yet. So these are why it should be looked at in the chance giving to see if she can better herself. I'm sorry, what are you going to say?
No, and I agree with you 100%. And it's like, I think being where she's been all these years has not helped as far as administration and everything else. And what I was going to say to Daryl is, had she been born into a wealthy family,
she wouldn't be in prison.
She would have never got death row.
They would have skull drug me, and I would have got everything, and she would have never been in prison if she had money, because she was a white girl in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have put everything on me.
You're exactly right.
She's been honest.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Hey, man, this is what I've done for the last 25 years. You're exactly right. I see it all the time. I still see it. It happens every day.
Yeah.
What would you be willing to do to help Crystal within a reasonable and lawful scenario? And I'm just going to turn it over to you, Tadaryl, and I appreciate you talking with us.
Now, whatever it takes, but honestly, I have to be reasonable. If they came to me today and said, if you had to go on death row for her to come off, I would. It's that simple. Now, I understand it's not a whole lot I can do, but whatever's possible. I would go back in front of a judge to this day and take any time they give me just to help her get off. because she deserves a chance. There's no reason for her for her life to be forfeited for my choices. And it's that simple. Like I say, whatever I have to do, like I said, if they came to me right now and said, well, you'll be executed in 6 months, to afford her a chance, I'd do it. I'd do it. I know that that's not a plausible thing, and not trying to tell anyone won't do anything like that, but if there was a chance, that's what I would do. If there was a possibility, that's what I would do, because of me, her life is ruined. Because of me, she may lose her life. Because of me, the courts have confirmed to take her life. So it's not much I can do in my situation, because it's not a good situation, period. But whatever I was able to by law, it's that simple. Because I feel she deserves a chance to show that she can be a better person. She ain't been afforded that chance. It's not simply she deserves a chance, and I'm willing to sit in front of a judge and take whatever it has to give her that chance. I'm not finna turn my back on her when everybody else does. And it's really, honestly, it's that simple.
That's why I think what you're doing is so powerful, because nobody's ever attempted to do that for her. And I really appreciate it. I really do. Thank you for making the time and effort to help save her life.
If there's a chance you can save it, then I'm going to do it.
Exactly. And is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to talk about, or anything to say to folks who may hear this interview?
The only thing is that for like the last 10, 11 years, I've attempted to try to get in contact with Colleen's mother, because I wanted to apologize and say that I was sorry for the whole situation. Haven't been able to. I even tried to contact the lead detective, Randy York, and I wrote him and I thanked him, because honestly, the resolve I have today about just me as a man in my life, I never would have had that if this wouldn't have happened. So even though I'm in prison, it still made me a better person. I was afforded the opportunity to sit back and be able to learn and to further my education and give me a clear understanding about life, period. But like the main thing, it's crazy that I actually want to thank the detective that locked me up, but
right.
I do. I mean, and to Miss May Martinez, I sincerely apologize, because my decisions not only affected Crystal's life or Shadada's life, but also affected her life, my mother's life, Crystal's mother's life, are philanthropic people who are subjected to a whole lot of BS because of my choices. So like I say, I apologize. I can't change it, but I sincerely apologize. And I've never been able to tell her that, and I've tried for like the last 10, 11 years to contact her in some form, fashion, or way. And I want to tell Crystal mother I'm sorry. And nobody's had any closure in this. No one. Closure's not going to be brought with Crystal's life. So nobody has any closure in this. And hopefully the apology gives some kind of closure, which is not much, but it's something. Really nothing else I can say.
Well, I really do appreciate that statement you just gave. I think it means a lot, especially with all parties. And I appreciate everything you've done to try to help her, and working with us and just doing everything you can, making time to do this and answer these questions. Man, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So that was the conclusion of the interview with Tadaryl Shipp. Tadaryl was gracious enough to speak with me after being silent for so many years. Tadaryl has been incarcerated for over 25 years and will be eligible for parole in a few months. Does he deserve parole? You be the judge.
Unforbidden Truth.